For years, photographers and filmmakers have used step-up rings to mount large filters on smaller lenses. Sorry, I mean, I'm sure this sound is probably really obnoxious, but I mean, this isn't even all the step-up rings that I own. Anyway, they're popular because buying one big filter and a set of step-up rings is a lot cheaper than buying multiple sizes of the same filter to fit each and every lens you may own. I mean, step-up rings, they do save money, but otherwise, they kind of suck. Anyway, enough of that. Well, today in 2021, thanks to this, we may finally be able to say goodbye.
Round and around again we go.
Good to see you. If you've never been to my channel before, my name is Todd Dominy. This product here is the Revo ring made by H&Y Digital. It was launched on Kickstarter in the summer of 2020 and within 90 minutes reached its funding goal of $10,000, eventually raising, at the time of this video, over $600,000 to become one of the highest funded, most successful photography accessories in Kickstarter history. And now, following months of manufacturing delays due to COVID-19, the Revo ring is finally here. Does it live up to the hype? Let's find out. Let's begin with what exactly the Revo ring does. Say, for example, you own 4 lenses. One lens has a 67mm filter thread, the second 72, the third 77, and the fourth 82mm. To use a circular filter, say a high-quality solid neutral density filter like this quartz line here made by Polar Pro on all 4 lenses, you could buy 4 quartz line filters. Total price tag of that? $516. Yeah, I mean, expensive, right? Or you could buy one 82mm quartz line filter to fit the 82mm lens, one Revo ring, and then attach the 82mm filter to the other 3 lenses. Total cost of that option, $182, which is $344 less than buying 4 filters. This is what photographers and filmmakers have been doing for years with these step-up rings, these cheap aluminum rings that are threaded and stacked together to incrementally increase the diameter of a lens to attach larger filters. And in general, I mean, step-up rings, they work and they do the job, but their user experience has rarely been good. These rings, they have a nasty habit of getting stuck to lenses, filters, and each other for that matter, due to their aluminum construction, which expands and contracts with changes in temperature. They're also small, thin, and super easy to lose. I mean, this ring right here, I remember very well losing one of these when I was in Oregon a couple of summers ago. And thankfully, I mean, I was able to overnight one to replace it because I needed this to attach ND filters. But if I had been in a place like Iceland, for example, there's no way I could have replaced it. So how is the Revo ring better? Well, for one, the Revo ring does not get stuck. You simply twist the adapter to make these blades inside the Revo ring here move closer together. Then let me just grab the lens here. And then when you twist it together like this, then you just place it on top of the lens and release, and it's held in place using tension instead of being threaded onto the lens. To remove, you just simply twist the Revo ring again, lift it off, and the Revo ring instantly detaches. You may then attach the Revo ring and whichever filter you have mounted here to a different lens. Another advantage, the Revo ring is one large ring. I mean, it may look a little big and clunky for what it does, but when you think about it, the odds then of losing it aren't as great. To clarify, in case there's any confusion, the Revo ring is not a single one-size-fits-all adapter allowing any filter to be mounted on any lens. There are multiple Revo rings, 5 sizes in fact, of which I purchased 3 through their Kickstarter campaign. The smallest Revo ring I purchased adapts 52mm filters to fit lenses with 37 to 49mm diameters. The next size up adapts 67mm filters to fit 46 to 62mm, while the largest one here adapts 82mm filters to fit 67 to 82mm lenses. So with this setup, I could buy 52, 67, and 82mm filters and then use those 3 filters across every single lens I currently own or any lens I may buy in the future. But something that's important to understand with how the REVORING system works is that the aforementioned 82mm neutral density filter, it's only compatible with this 82mm REVORING. You cannot use the 82mm filter with either the medium or the small REVORINGs. If I had a 67mm filter, that filter would only be compatible with this REVORING. It would not be compatible with the small or the large. Also, if I owned a filter that wasn't 52, 67, or 82 millimeters, say something like 77 millimeters, I could not use that filter with these three REVORINGs. I would have to buy the REVORING that has the 77mm filter thread on the front in order to use it. And this is another key difference between the REVORING and step-up rings. With step-up rings, you can attach any filter of any size to any lens. You just keep stacking up rings until you get the diameter you need. But the REVORING system isn't as flexible. I mean, it can mount an 82mm filter on a 67mm lens, but no smaller than that. To go smaller, you'd need smaller filters and smaller REVORINGs. Anyway, I hope all this makes sense, and my intent here isn't to make this sound like a problem or a big deal. It's just important to understand how step-up rings and the REVORING system are different. So now that you know what the REVORING does, how is the build quality and user experience? Well, in my opinion, it does the job of adapting larger filters to fit smaller lenses. The one part of the design that could be better, in my opinion, is the experience of gripping and turning this ring. You have to do it with both hands. And there's one that you grip, there's like a non-movable half of the ring back here. And then you use your other hand to grip the front and twist sideways. What worked for me was getting in the habit of, twisting it with both hands, then moving my fingers over with this hand in order to grip the whole thing, and then putting it on the lens and releasing like that. Then to remove the REVORING, you have to twist again using both hands in order to lift it off. There's an inherent tension in the ring. I mean, it's always working against you, always trying to twist itself back to its resting position. So you, in a way, you kind of feel like it's always fighting you, if that makes sense. As for the blades inside of here, I mean, these blades are made of plastic, and I mean, time will, I guess, tell how long these will hold up. It's kind of impossible to say right now. One thing I thought about with this REVORING was, what would happen if this were to be taken out? Say if you're doing some landscape photography and you're on like a windy beach and there's like sand blowing around, or I just think about a trip I took to Iceland a while back, and there was all this, just black, fine, tiny little grains of black sand just blowing around on this beach, and it got into everything. I mean, it got into my tripod, my ball head, my camera. It was such a mess. And I actually still have some of that black sand in my backpack. I mean, it actually got into the crevices of the backpack. Anyway, side story. But I mean, I'm kind of curious to know, like, what would happen if, like a little piece of grit got in here or something, and you closed it, and that grit got up inside of the mechanism here. But anyway, so far at least, it appears to be working fine. Sorry if me twisting that thing was kind of obnoxious, the sound. By the way, the REVORINGs do come with these neoprene pouches, and they don't have any like Velcro on them. I mean, they're just kind of like open enclosures. I have to say, I mean, I'm really not a fan of these pouches. They're just kind of a pain to use, getting the ring into it and then pulling it out and stuff. It's just, I mean, I think this would be a better experience if these came with hard cases, and I think the ring would also be protected more. So, anytime you attach something to the front of a full-frame wide-angle lens, vignette is always a concern. So to test that out, I shot some images using the REVORING on a full-frame wide-angle 16mm lens, and thankfully, according to what I can see, there is no additional vignette created by the REVORING. The vignette you see in these images is the natural vignette of the lens without any lens profile corrections applied to the raw image. There is a little darkening in the middle of the REVORING shot, which I could not understand at first, but then I realized that the REVORING was blocking some of the light that I had above the table, so that's nothing to be concerned with. But in general, it's worth pointing out concerning wide angle lenses and filters, if you are a landscape shooter who shoots a lot of super wide angle images, if that is your style, it may be worth buying thin filters at the exact size you need instead of using step-up rings, the Revo ring or otherwise, to ensure you don't get any additional vignette in your images. All right, so let's talk about compatibility. You may mount any circular filter to the front of the Revo ring, assuming the diameter of the filter and the Revo ring here are the same. Not compatible with the Revo ring, however, are square filter holders like the Polar Pro Summit, which I reviewed recently on this channel, because the Revo ring blocks the space the Summit plate needs in order to attach. The Revo ring is also not compatible with Breakthrough Photography's filter holder. Their brass mounting plate can be attached, but the holder can't be mounted onto the Revo ring. I also tried this out with the Lee filter kit, and it was the same story there. So, the Revo ring then is designed just for attaching circular filters, not specialty filter holders like the aforementioned. So overall, I think the main question here is whether the Revo ring is an adequate substitute for step-up rings. Well, in my opinion, I don't think the Revo ring replaces step-up rings entirely, for step-up rings still offer the most flexibility at the lowest cost. However, if you primarily use lenses with similar diameters, like I described earlier, 67, 72, 77, and you've been buying and kind of like standardizing your filter collection around a particular diameter like 82 millimeters, then yeah, the Revo ring would be better than the step-up rings you're currently using. It will make moving that 82 millimeter filter between those four lenses or any future lenses you own much faster and easier than having to hassle with step-up rings. If you rarely use filters, however, or you only own a couple of lenses at most, then the Revo ring may be overkill for your needs. It really comes down to how annoyed you are by step-up rings on a scale of 1 to 10. If you are sick and tired of rings getting stuck together, or perhaps you've misplaced a ring or two in your lifetime like I have, and you're concerned about that in the future and you don't want to deal with that ever again, then I think the Revo ring is worth trying. So as for me, I'm going to keep using the Revo rings, and if anything comes up, if I learn anything new about them, I will post a comment to this video below, and I'll also post a message in the community thread as well. So if you haven't already done so, if you want to keep in touch in the future in case anything new about the Revo ring is posted, or just to check out future videos in the future, then remember to subscribe to this channel below. By the way, if you found this review to be helpful, if you learned something about the Revo ring today, or about filters or shooting on wide angle lenses, then please remember to give this video a thumbs up. It will really help expose the video to more people, and YouTube will recommend it to more people to watch. So I would appreciate it if you did. By the way, in full disclosure, H&Y did not send me these Revo rings, nor have they paid for this video. I was simply a backer of their Kickstarter campaign and thought they were worth reviewing considering all the press and attention they received back when the campaign hit Kickstarter. So hope you enjoyed this. That is it for me, everyone. I will see you next time.